Okay, Paco, this is another one. Right about the same time, a little later than the one we just hand pollinated. And these flowers are just opening. So here it is about 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., and they're opening this evening. But you can see that they've opened at the end of the day. So theoretically, bees could have come in here and contaminated these with foreign pollen, and then you couldn't test for self-fertility. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to bag this unopened flower for tomorrow. You see, it'll open about this time tomorrow, but it'll open into this bag, and then I can test that one. Now I already know what this one is, but for the purpose of demonstration, you see. Now, there's another good reason for this bag, is most times, as you know, the flower opens at nighttime. Occasionally and sporadically, they open before nighttime, and later in the summer, the bees will come and start collecting pollen at this time. But it's still spring here. We have a lot of food sources for the bees. So they're not really seeking out. They probably haven't even discovered this yet. But this was just open, let's see, in the last hour or something. And you can you see all the dust? All right. Now, something I didn't mention in the previous video is I used my fingers to pollinate that other flower. There'll be pollen grains remaining on my fingers unless I wash with soap and water, or what I normally do for when it's important to me to test is I'll have brushes, or I'll have my ethanol, and I'll sterilize my hand so that only the pollen that I'm collecting here goes here. See that? Only the pollen goes here. Now, like I said, because it was open when I arrived, I can't test this. Because there could potentially have been a stray bee or insect that brought in foreign pollen. So I always make sure that I do it with a sleeved bag. Now here's another nice thing about these bags. Let's say that, well, you can see the pollen in here. I just showed you. It's just loaded with pollen, right? I'm just going to take a whole bunch more and show you. See all those grains? Oh man, it's loaded with pollen. So let's say I needed that for something. Well, I could put the bag over the flower, tie it, right? And then tomorrow morning, all that fresh pollen will be there. The bees will not have harvested. In the summer, all this pollen will be gone by 7 a.m. because they come at first light, they start taking the pollen, feeding on the pollen, and then by 7 o'clock, it's all gone. Now, it'll look like it's still there. People think that these anthers, let's do it again, that these anthers, let's see those anthers there? They're really pollen sacs, and they've burst open, and that's all that dust is the pollen. So you'll see the pollen sacs. They'll be yellow, and you'll think you'll have pollen, but see that dust? You won't have any dust. That's the actual pollen. So you got to protect it, and the way you do it is with these bags. Okay?